Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrible General Health System's Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time Sports. I'm Harry McCullough. It's March. We've got Madness, and we've also got the head coach of the Nicholls State Colonels, Mr. Austin Claunch, is here to talk. Hey, coming off another back-to-back Southland Conference championship. So first, congratulations. That's 3 out of the last 5 years that you've won. And the Colonels have only won 5 in their history of their program. So 3 of the last 5 years is a pretty good run. And you were part of all those 3 as an assistant coach and now as a head coach back-to-back. So, again, congratulations. How did it feel coming off the big win against UNO, Coach?
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a high-level game. It was a lot of fun. You know, you mentioned it. I've been here for 6 years. That atmosphere the other night in Stouffer was electric. As good as I've ever seen. And, you know, we had a ton of fans. They had some fans that had made the drive from New Orleans. And it was just a fun game to be a part of. You know, you're almost ashamed that somebody, you know, it's part of the game. Someone wins, someone loses. You know, so much respect for Coach Schlesinger and their program and what they've done. And every time we play, you know, I think both teams tend to bring the best out of each other, and that's why it's always so competitive. But it was an awesome win, and just proud of our guys. A lot of adversity this year that they were able to overcome and ultimately stick together and find a way to get it done.
Yeah, no kidding. You know, it's been a heck of a run. It seems like everybody we talk to is like, it's been a long 2 years, and then we get hit with a storm. But, yeah, you're trying to recruit guys and get them down here, get fans the new normal. Hey, come to the games, you know. But to have UNO's a long time, you know, going back to Tim Floyd and all those guys back in the day, they've always had a good basketball program, had been down. So it was good to see both of y'all going. So you and Schles, I'm sure that's got to make it a nice little rivalry. That Allaire fellow is a pretty good player for them as well. So a lot of good athletes on the court.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, ever since I've come in this league, you know, Coach Schlesinger has just been somebody that has always just been so kind to me, and even as an assistant, and then when I became a head coach, somebody that really, you know, I lean on him for certain things, and just love to talk to him every time we play, and just, you know, ask him about different things, and he's someone that's been very supportive of me ever since I became a head coach. You know, my first year in the league, obviously they won the title back in 2017, I believe it was. And then they've been a player, you know, up there in the top 2 or 3 or 4 every single year since. You know, they're so physical, so well coached. And they always have, you know, they've always got talent. Like you just mentioned, you know, Derek St. Hilaire, Troy Green, you know, in the past, guys like, you know, Damian Rosser, and just a lot of different guys, you know, that have come through their program that really embody what, you know, what they're about, you know, toughness, physicality. They're always very athletic. And that game the other night, you know, as you just mentioned, I mean, I kind of sat back after about 3 or 4 minutes, but man, there's some playmaking going on out here, you know, and it was fun to be a part of, you know. Ty Gordon, you know, for us that was getting going, Devontae Carter and Latrell Jones. And then on their side, you know, they had guys making plays, you know, with Derek St. Hilaire and Troy Green, and, you know, their big fellows were really scoring inside Jackson and Kirkland as well. And it was just a fun game to be a part of. You know, every time we play those guys, just the familiarity makes it fun. And it's always coming down to the last 1 or 2 plays, one or two possessions. And so, you know, who knows? There's
might have another one.
There's a decent chance we'll see him again this week. You know, we've got to win some games. They got to win some games, but that's what makes this time of the year so fun. You know, and again, anybody can win in Katy this week, so we've got to kind of refocus and have a good week of preparation.
Right. So I guess that's, you know, where you're moving next, Coach. Obviously, that was a winner-take-all game. You guys both came in with 3 losses in the conference, and you guys won it, and you got the number 1 seed. It's all about Katy, Texas, though. You know, and they're not going to go deep as far as taking automatic bids to get to the NCAA. So even though you've won 3 championships in your years while you're here, of course, 2 as a head coach, you've never made that next step. So I imagine that's the goal, right?
Yeah, no question. You know, when I was an assistant and we came after we won it, we had a major injury to one of our best players, which was really unfortunate. And then last year, you know, we get to the championship game and lose to a really good Abilene team who, you know, ultimately goes on to the NCAA tournament, beats Texas.
Won a game, right.
And so we were right there. And what I love about this group is, we won. We celebrated Saturday. It was a great win, but then we came on Monday, and these guys were ready to work. These guys are, hey, coach, what are we doing today? What's the schedule this week? They're excited. They feel like there's 80 minutes more 80 minutes of work that they still have to do, and that certainly makes me, excited as a head coach that you've got a group that has a bigger picture in mind for what they want to accomplish. Right. Certainly the regular season title is always, 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 a great thing. I don't care how many times you do it. It's truly a testament of, your daily habits, your work ethic, and these guys, for them to ultimately get it done, we're certainly proud of. But they have bigger goals in mind, which for me as a head coach, makes it easier for me to get up and come to work because I know I got a group that's going to work hard every time we get in the gym.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. And got about a minute left, but you had also mentioned that the fans turned out. So, I mean, that also goes hand in hand, right? When you start winning some games, you start getting a little reputation and you start getting word around campus. How big was that at Stoford the other night? And just can you see it growing around the community as you walk around? And can you see it, kind of picking up some momentum going down, the ball going downhill?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just over these past 4 years, the way that our community has rallied around our program and our athletic department as a whole. I think you look at Nicholls, it's a great time to be at Nicholls State with football, baseball, softball. I mean, there's just so many great programs, and this community loves to rally around its student athletes.
You didn't go easy on the preseason scheduling. Obviously, Baylor was the defending champs. I remember talking to you on Sports on the Bayou, and we're like, who made this schedule? But you play Baylor, who was the champs from last year. Wisconsin, Purdue, Oregon State, TCU, and Northern Iowa, all on the schedule this year. But I guess it paid off as you take home back-to-back championships.
Yeah, we always like to test ourselves in the preseason. I mean, I think that's a big part of just who we are. First and foremost, it prepares us for, playing, league games, playing some of the best competition across the country. I think, traveling on the road and getting used to playing in tough environments. That's something that I really, truly believe pays dividends down the road. We have the type of players and the type of team that embraces that. They want, to play these guys that they see on draft boards or, on TV a lot or, whatever the case may be. We've got a confident bunch. And, in the past, we've been able to win a few of these games. And this year we were able to, get a huge win in Northern Iowa. We played a lot of those teams really tough. We had double-figure leads against, a few of those teams you just named. And so certainly it's cool to play in those environments and to play against some of the best teams and coaches in the country. And then you turn around and see how it pays off for us. And you also see some of the success that those teams have and just gives your team a lot of confidence, I think, moving forward. And certainly I just think it's been a staple of what we've done here over the past 2 or 3 years.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. I think it was Wisconsin was a game y'all should have won, and I think the officials kind of got in the way of that game. But anyway, that's just me barking at officials in college basketball. We got to take the charge out of the game, but that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, let's talk about some of your players. And obviously you got some players. Ty Gordon was the Southland Conference Player of the Year. He scored 36 in a winner-take-all game. So that guy, earlier we were talking, he said he does what he does. He's that kind of player. But you got Carter, you got Jones, you got a few of those players that really stepped up. Talk to me a little bit about your team and the character of these guys.
Yeah, well, all those guys you just mentioned. I mean, I think we've got. I think one thing that's really special about our program is we bring in a lot of talent every year, and I think talent's never the question about our program or about our team. I think when these all conference stuff, when these awards come out and things of that nature. We had a lot of guys get credit, over the past few days for their all-conference stuff, very deservedly so. But I think we also had guys like Manny Littles, Pierce Spencer, who weren't on all-conference teams that are all-conference level players. I think obviously Ty Gordon gets a lot of recognition, as he should. I think he's one of the best players in the country. Devontae Carter, Latrell Jones, and Raji Lyons were all league for us. And I think, maybe even, could have been higher up on those lists or whatever the case may be. But I think that's what's so special, when you get guys to come here and embrace sacrifice and embrace, building, being a part of something bigger than themselves when you talk about winning championships and hopefully going to the NCAA tournament. we've got young guys that we're really excited about, and the future of this program, I think, is just going to continue to be bright and continue to grow. And so, yeah, this group has certainly been a lot of fun to coach, and it hasn't been easy for them. You know, we talked about it with the hurricane back in, I guess that was late August, and, you know, COVID and injuries and different things. And, you know, it happens to every team. There's different obstacles throughout the course of the year. But I just think our poise, our leadership, and our commitment to each other, and ultimately, again, achieving that goal is why we're sitting here as the regular season champs. But we got to do it again for another week and try to, you know, finish the job.
Right. So does the game change at all? You just caught me talking about officials. But does the game change? All those guys swallow the whistle a little bit when they get to postseason play? Is there a different strategy when you go into a postseason tournament?
I don't think so. I mean, I think, you know, when you start to get to these, you know, moments for championships and things like that, you know, I always say you got to double down on what you do and what you know, and we've had success practicing the way we've practiced, preparing the way we've prepared. We know it works. We believe in the formula, and we're just going to continue to do those things. Officials, you know, whatever that is, you know, that's gonna be what it is, you know. And you know, I certainly hope that they you know, let us bang around out there, and you know, I actually think the officiating in Southland play this year has been really good, and you know, hopefully we can carry that into Katy and. You know, just let these kids decide it. You know, yeah. I mean, I think, you know, Katy's going to be exciting. I can tell you that. I mean, it's going to be wide open. I mean, you look at the success that Southeastern UNO have had. Corpus has really come on this year. You know, Northwestern State, McNeese, HBU, you know, Incarnate Word, all these teams. Incarnate Word, you know, they're the 8th seed, but they've beaten New Orleans. They've beaten Southeastern. You know, they had us in a 1-possession game. So this thing is wide open, man. There's talent across the board. And it's going to make for an exciting weekend.
Yeah, you've seen it in the past where teams can get hot and they can make a run. So you'll get a double bye and you'll play on Friday, and then you got to win 2 games to get to the tournament, and then and then it starts again, right? But that's the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Friday night, I think those first 4 or 5 minutes, that's going to be the hardest. You know, when you know your adrenaline's up, and if you've never been in tournament play, it's hard to explain or feel. You know, a 4-point deficit can feel like a 14-point deficit. Every emotion, every basket is so hung on by everyone. And but you know, at some point, you know, we'll settle in, and we've got to be able to understand that, you know, it's just another basketball game.
It's all about this tournament, Coach, and Katy. Is it different? You know, nobody plays there during the regular season, right? So is it different to play in a tournament like this and needing 2 wins to get to the NCAA?
Yeah, conference tournaments, man, are a special thing. They're so much fun, the emotion. You know, win or go home. I mean, win or go home is always it's a fun format. It's an intense format. It's emotional, you know, and it's you know, it's like I said in the last segment. I mean, you know, you can feel everything hanging in the balance, every basket, every turnover. And I think it's about the teams that ultimately, you know, I say it all the time. We want to play with emotion, but we don't want to be emotional, if that makes sense. You know, we want to be able to keep those things in check and be able to play with that intensity while also executing the details of what we need to do to win the game. You know, certainly it's hard, you know, when you look at, you know, we have 2 games to win. We'll be playing a team on Friday that played the day before. So that kind of puts an interesting dynamic into it. You know, they might come in with a little more rhythm or a little bit more comfort and playing in the arena, whatever the case may be. So, but, you know, I've been in a bunch of different leagues. I've played in different conference tournaments. They're all fun. They're all exciting. And I know that our team is certainly juiced up and ready to get to Katy and start playing.
Yeah, tournament play, and you did mention it, backgrounds are so important. You know, that shooting background for guys. You can't just run over like somebody in football. You can't just block them and knock them down, that kind of stuff. You still got to have touch on the ball. You can't have white knuckle a shot or anything like that. Yeah. But you also have scouting, right? So all the 8 teams are going to be there. You're all going to be looking at each other. You're all going to see how everybody's doing things. So scouting plays a big role too. And I guess they're not going to be able to see you play, but they will have a little more familiarity with this situation.
Yeah, and you know, at this point, this late in the year, and you know, we did have a preseason tip-off tournament, you know, where we're potentially looking at playing somebody 4 times this year. you know, and so I do think from a scouting standpoint, you know, you're going to throw some wrinkles in there, you know, maybe a couple of quick hitters here and there, but at the end of the day, we know everybody and everybody knows us. And it's going to be about the teams that, you know, play together and come out with a collective purpose. Certainly the more games you play in that arena, hopefully the better you shoot it. It does always seem to be tough early on shooting in there, you know, in the past when I've gone in there. And so, you know, you really want to, you know, not necessarily rely, but you want your defense to be in a place where you feel comfortable you can win in a defensive struggle. You know, it's not always, you know, about just coming in here and scoring 80 or 90. We've really scored the ball really well these past few games. So it's important that we refocus and understand that, hey, this might be more of a defensive type game or, you know, atmosphere, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And so, you know, just ready to win the game anyway. If it's up and down, if it slows down, just having your team prepared, you know, to come out on top.
And having some older guys probably will help with that situation as well, the guys that have been around, played a little bit. What about this conference, Southland Conference? Obviously, a lot of change going on in the conference. So when you get together as a group, all the coaches getting together, what do you guys talk about as the future and that kind of stuff with Southland? Or do you even worry about that now? That's somebody else's problem. That's JT's problem.
Yeah, you know, well, certainly not. Certainly, you know, that's not something we're thinking about right now.
Right.
I mean, you know, 80 minutes away from the NCAA tournament, and I know other teams are thinking the exact same thing. We all want the opportunity to represent the Southland in the NCAA tournament on Selection Sunday. I mean, it's such an honor, something I've never been a part of, you know, as a coach. And so, you know, to have your name come across that board and as representing the Southland Conference as the tournament champs, I think that's what we're all focused on right now. And then I think when you look to the future, I trust our leadership, you know, from the very top in administration with the conference all the way to, you know, obviously athletic director. Certainly Jonathan Terrell is one of the best in the game. And I trust, you know, his vision for us, and I trust Chris Grant's vision for this conference as a whole. And so I think the future is bright for the Southland Conference because of the leadership we have. And the people that you know ultimately represent these universities.
Yeah, I've been around a lot of not Southland Conference, but Sun Belts, UL Lafayette back in the day, and then New Orleans, and watching coaches. This is when coaches their name is made too. You know, so you win a couple of games here, you get in a tournament, you might be a 16, but you might play Duke, you might end Mike Krzyzewski's career. So that you know, all of this could happen really, really fast. And I don't want to put a bunch of stuff on here, but it could all happen real quick for a coach. This is the time for you guys to really make a name for yourself.
Well, I mean, I think there's just nothing like March Madness, man. I think college athletics, you know, for me, you know, my college basketball experience was the best time of my life. And I try to, you know, replicate that here and give these young men the best experience they can as well. You know, as teammates, growing as young men, you know, there's nothing like winning championships and being on a great college basketball team. I tell them that all the time. You know, I don't care if you go pro and play for an NBA team and all that. There's nothing better than getting a chance to, you know, win with a group of young men that you grew up with and you work with every single day. And so hopefully, you know, these guys can finish it out the right way. We've had a great season. We've had a great couple of seasons, but we're certainly hungry to finish this thing out this week with 2 wins and get that opportunity to go dancing.
Yeah, go take out a number one. No, it'd be awesome. And look, I'm not trying to make you go to another team. I'd like to get you a raise, though. And, you know, so we like to get you in the NCAA tournament, get you a win, get you a raise, and then continue to build here. Best of luck. Get a win on Friday, get a win on Saturday. We'll hear your name on Sunday in the show. So best of luck, Coach. Thanks for joining us, man.
I really appreciate it, man. Go Colonels.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. That's Coach Austin Claunch. That'll do it for this edition of Body Time. Thanks for watching. We'll see y'all next time.